Hello, friends, and welcome to another No Clip Q&A, number 5, in fact. I feel like this is Cup of Jones. I'm stepping on Brandon Jones' territory over at Easy Allies by doing this. Delicious. Yeah, we're here, and we're here to talk about all the stuff that's happened. A lot has happened since our last Q&A. We released the Rocket League series. We announced Doom. We got a bunch of equipment. We got the drone. We got a camera. We got loads of other stuff. So lots has happened. And we've also sort of we've put our money where our mouth is at this stage. I feel like we've put the project out there. People have seen it, and thankfully nobody went, "Oh man, this sucks." In fact, the contrary. We've seen loads of support on YouTube, on Reddit, loads of subscriptions, a couple more people joining the Patreon as well, and it's been really fantastic, and I'm feeling really good, especially because we've got a good bit of time to work on the next one, which is going to be, I mean, if people enjoyed the Rocket League one, this Doom set is going to blow people's minds. It's definitely the most impressive thing I've ever worked on. Just in terms of the interviews, and I can't wait to dive into it. But we got loads of questions again. I'm going to get through as many as I can. I'm probably going to split this up into 2 parts as well. But let's see how it goes. So first question, Peter Kostecki. Peter, my friend. Hi, Danny. Got a question regarding the upcoming doc. Are you planning to talk to the guys which were behind the first 2 games as well? I think that John Carmack is still at id Software, smiley face. John Carmack is not at id. He is at Oculus, so he technically works for Bethesda now. He doesn't work for Bethesda anymore. He works for Facebook now. So he is not there anymore. Either is John Romero or Adrian Carmack, John's brother. The other person who is there from the original Doom is Kevin Cloud, who we did interview. He's one of the original founders of it, and also the artist with Adrian Carmack on the first Doom. Artist throughout them. Doom 3, he was worked on a bunch of projects we're going to talk about in the documentary, and of course was in charge of SnapMap on Doom 2016, as it's sort of we're calling it during this whole thing. But we're not focusing on the first 2, except for the lens through which we see the evolution of Doom into Doom 3, the scrapped Call of Doom, as it's sort of externally known, project, and also Doom 2016. So we will be talking to them in relation to that sort of stuff, and there's a couple of other people who worked on the earlier games as well. We talked to Tim Willits about Quake a lot, and the original Quakes and stuff like that. But no, we're not. It's not that id is not that id anymore. It's funny because it is the id of Quake and Quake 2 and Quake 3 and all that. Like, most of those people have left. I mean, Todd Hollinshead left and John Carmack left, obviously. But like, for the most part, the people who were there have been there for a long, long time, which is something that really shocked me when I was there, or surprised me, as did the size of the team. It is not a large company. 19 people made Doom 3, which was nuts to me. But separate to that, I am making inroads on lots of retrospective PC games, some of which are the old games. But this project is very much focused on Doom 2016. Thanks for your question. Jackson Roy asking, Danny, love the series, love the Rocket League docs. Thank you so much. What would you say was the hardest part of making this first doc series? Don't say quitting your job and trying your hand at going solo. Smiley face. Lots of smiley faces this week. Thank you so much. No, in fact, the patrons made it much easier to leave my job and go solo, immediately supporting this project. So again, thank you so much. The hardest part of this one was the edit by far. We went on the shoot to San Diego. I had planned about 6 months ago and already paid for a trip to Austin to go see the Grand Prix with Drew. That was like a 7-day trip, basically in the middle of our edit sequence. So by the time I got back, I had like 4 or 5 days to edit the entire documentary. That sucked. That was a really hard 5 nights. 5 nights at Danny's. My wife was incredibly supportive. Made sure she got me a coffee machine. Made sure I had healthy food and didn't complain that I was working until 4 a.m. Every night, and was a saint. And I think that was the biggest problem. So having 3 weeks to work on Doom is a godsend, and I've already started chopping together the edit a little bit, or at least logging it, so that's good. So that was definitely the thing I'd change this time. But again, it was also like not a mistake on my part. This was something that was planned 6 months ago, and I couldn't avoid it. So it was just a reality of the situation. So I don't feel too bad. I don't feel like I dropped the ball. I feel like I was dealt a shitty hand and then sort of made the most of it. But I think you can definitely see the rushed element in the sort of structural issues in the second video. So the next series, I'm confident will be perfect, or as close to perfect as I can get. Next question, Colby Perry. Hey, Danny. Love everything so far. Thanks, Colby. I love your name. Question. How does the editing process differ now than now that you aren't representing another company? I assume you have full say in editing today. I had full say in editing at GameSpot. Like, they were not restrictive at all on editing I did. I mean, we're a small team. We had to wear a lot of hats and hustle and publish our own stuff a lot of the time. So, like, no one ever... Like, the Overwatch videos, when they went live, the people at GameSpot watched them, like, when they were on the website. Or at least sometimes they went through, like, Q&A and stuff like that, like our internal QA process. But that's more of a quality process, not an editorial voice process. That's between the video team. So, no, I have the same freedom. I was very lucky at GameSpot to carve out that trust and be allowed to do that stuff. So it's a pretty similar process. In fact, uploading the video and then hoping that you've not put any spelling mistakes, or the music bed doesn't drop out here, or stuff like that, is basically the same as what it was like when I worked at GameSpot. So that's it's pretty familiar that way. Thanks for the question, Colby. Thank you so much. Thank you for being a patron. KP asked a question. Oh, actually, he's referring to another question. Let me go to Jason Kobus first. Jason says, was there anything during the Rocket League filming that you didn't get to cover that you would have loved to? And then KP says, specifying the question of Jason Kobus, you were talking about a possible third part in the Rocket League series. What was it going to be about, and why did you or someone else decide not to do it? So the first part, I guess, is I wanted to jump more into the music side of Rocket League, and I couldn't really find an elegant way of getting it into the second video. So I sort of ham-fisted it in there, which was part of the structural issues. I'm happy, though, that the first extended interview is already up, the Jeremy Dunham one. The next one that's coming, which is already available for folks who are in that reward tier, is the Mike Alt chat, who is the guy who is basically responsible for all of the sound, including the music, for the original version of Rocket League, and the launch version, and is kind of the gatekeeper for the... I don't know, he kind of uses Rocket League to, like, highlight indie electronic dance music artists, which is pretty cool. So that whole thing will go up as a separate 30-minute video. It's already available for those patrons. It'll be available in a couple of days. I think it's Sunday, is when the week ticks over. So pretty soon that'll be up. So that's cool. And then the third video, so originally I was pitching it that we would do the launch, and then would do something on the whole RLCS thing, like the Rocket League Champion Series, the esports aspect to it. And I was going to see if I could go out to where Kronovi lives in Dallas and interview him. He's like the sort of Lionel Messi of Rocket League and has been with them since Rocket Cars. We mentioned him in the documentary. And it just, there was not enough time to do it properly, so I basically scrapped the idea. But it might be something we return to. There's a subset of NoClip which we'll be announcing soon enough, we're not always just going to do a month about games. There's going to be the stuff about games. Yes, I'm still wearing the fucking... the bracelet, the house arrest bracelet. This is to stop the feedback. I'm grounding my mixer so I don't have a hum on it. So yeah, here you can hear. No, I won't do it. I need to fix this. Drew gave me a solution, a USB solution, so I'm gonna use that. Anyway, yeah, they're not all going to be about that. It's going to be about game culture and games, people who play games, people who make games, interesting little angles and stuff like that. And that Kronovi feature, we might see if we can reach out to him and do that around, in a different guise. But that's basically what the third one was about. Next question, Cures. Would you be able to publish the extended cuts of older interviews like Overwatch? Yes, sorry, I just answered that question accidentally. The Jeremy Dunham one is up. The Mike Alt one will be up. There'll be a Dave Hagwood version going up as well. We're not doing every interview because some people we interview, we only use like parts of the interviews for color. We sometimes interview people and we don't actually use their interviews at all. A lot of the people we interview haven't done interviews before, and you have to be quite genteel with them, and I don't want to put up like unedited versions of like 40-minute conversations with people who were stuttering or were worried, because then that sets the precedent. Then every time we talk to someone else and they're worried that that's what's going to happen, so we're not going to do that. The videos that are going up are like curated cuts, so like they're not the full cut, because a lot of time I re-ask questions later on, or I double up on questions, or I rephrase stuff. A lot of time we like parse the clips so they're not breaking up, and then we have chats in between just to like reframe stuff. We've left a little bit of that in with the mic one, actually, just for a bit of fun sort of color. But the interviews are basically going to be like, if there's stuff that we think is like really interesting and relevant, we're going to put in big cuts. So the Jeremy Dunham one, I think, is about 30 minutes of him talking about marketing about the game. The Mike Alt one is basically the entire conversation we had with him about the music in the game. It's super fascinating, and there'll be a couple of more of those going up as well. So it's not every interview, but it's like it's all the good cuts basically. Is how that works. That's why we're saying extended, not unedited, because the unedited interviews would be a mess and they wouldn't look as nice and it wouldn't be as interesting at all. So, and it would kind of set a precedent that we're basically just like dumping all our rushes on the internet, which would freak people out when we interview them. But yeah, there's one up already. There's more hitting over the weekend. If you're in the tier that gets them earlier, you'll get them a week before everyone else. If you're not, they'll be free for everyone eventually anyway, like they are right now. Next question. Toe here. Whoa! Freaking out outside. There's choppers overhead for the past 2 nights because the riots in Oakland. Crazy week, eh? Not so. Toyer Tilyaev asks, I love his name. Did you discover something process-wise that you think you do different now in terms of different schedule, pace, duration, shoots, bags on a different size? Bags of a different size. No, our process for getting there and shooting was actually pretty good. I think we were on point. The Doom one as well, I think we're on point. We sort of rubbed up against the upper limit of the day on both. We sort of scrambled to get some B-roll. We didn't use any jib shots at Edge because it just would have taken too long. But we got some nice, and we didn't need as much B-roll for that place as well, because basically all these places are office blocks. So we're figuring out ways of making it more visually interesting without just getting into the same. We don't want every video to look the same. We want there to be a quality through line, but not like an imagery through line necessarily. So I think in terms of the shoot, we were good. I think the biggest problem was the F1 trip, and again, there was nothing I could really kind of do about that. So I think that's the main thing. That and I didn't use any voiceover in any of the Rocket League docs, which was like a test on my part. I wanted to see if I could do it, if I could get them to tell the story instead of me telling the story. And I think it was beneficial in some ways because it really sort of like allowed them to speak to it. I think in other ways, structurally, the second video could have used some VO. And I think the Doom one's definitely going to have some. It's going to have a little bit more me in there, but not in the way it was in the first one. I didn't like my intro for the Rocket League one, the whole like video games, blah, 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 blah. We only did one cut of it, and I think it was a little bit out of tone for the intro. So maybe that. The best thing about the amount of time we've got between now and the launch of the Doom docs, which will be like first half of December, maybe the first week. Maybe the 5th. It might be the week after. We'll see. But the amount of time between the two of them is that we have time to play with it. So that's good. Next question. Groups, you're right. Are we going to see a no-clip community flag in Rocket League soon? Yes. I can't say anything else. I can't say when, because all the Rocket League fans will then know when the patch is out, and they've sworn me to secrecy and I signed an NDA. But yes, there will be a Rocket League flag. Sorry, there will be a no-clip flag in Rocket League soon. That's the second time I've done that. When I tweeted it out, I said the same thing. I said, oh my god, there's a Rocket League flag in no-clip. My brain is falling apart. Double sort of question here, I think. Matthew Reynolds asks, hey, Danny. Hey, what's up, Matthew? Excellent work in the Rocket League series. Thanks, man. I was just curious to know what you think about the work GameSpot are doing with the GameSpot Studios. With GameSpot Studios and the videos that they are producing. I only just found about them the other days, and they seem to be very much about what NoClip is doing. Were you aware of this project when you left? It feels like it has come from GS with a little awkward timing in relation to the start of NoClip. And then a sort of a follow-up question that Graham Jenkins asks, great work on NoClip. On Rocket League. Fantastic debut for NoClip. Thanks so much, Graham. I'd like to ask if you could... if you feel you could have started NoClip without you achieved / put in place at GameSpot. I guess these two are kind of connected because the GameSpot Studios thing, like, yes, I was aware of it. I named it. It was my... I can't get into, like, the nitty-gritty, but, like, it was a way for me to formalize what... Like, okay, whenever I talk about, like, the stuff I did at GameSpot, I always say, like, you know, the Witcher thing and the No Man's Sky thing and the Overwatch thing. So there was a point at which I needed to just create a blanket term for that, and I can't talk about some of the internal stuff that happened because I've signed whatever, and I it's not really my place to talk about that stuff anyway. I don't work at GameSpot anymore, but yes, like, that was my project. I named it. There was the template for what it is and what it became was not me. I wasn't involved in anything that has come out from the videos that they've put out. But the idea of it, and obviously the sort of initial gestation of it, was based on what me and Andy had done at GameSpot for that time. And I'm really happy that people are doing it. Like, I'm happy that other game sites are doing this sort of stuff. I mean, people did this type of thing before. It's not like I fucking invented talking about games in a meaningful way. In terms of the studio stuff, that's like a direct result of what we were doing. I think what's happening at other sites as well, though, is that they're seeing the way we're tackling this. I think you're going to see this on Waypoint because Vice are already doing this, and in a way, I was inspired by Vice. So I think they're going to do more of this stuff, but probably in the short formy kind of way they do, not in the sort of the long, in-depth way that we do. But I think it's cool. Like, if we can inspire other sites to do this stuff or to keep doing this stuff in video, because this has been around in text for donkey's years, if we can inspire them to do that in video, then I feel good about it, and I'm happy that they're doing it. And, you know, I'm happy that other people are doing this stuff, and I'm also pretty happy and content that we're going to be better at them as well. So that's like that's I don't know. It's the best of both worlds for me. It pushes me to work even harder to make sure that NoClip is the best. But I also feel like if we're part of a wave of this type of coverage, then that can only be a good thing. Next question, Patrick. Congrats on the new project, Danny. Thanks so much, Patrick. I'm a fan of yours too. I can only assume this is the same Patrick. I was curious. Now that you are firmly rooted in your next chapter, how do you feel in hindsight about leaving GameSpot? Any regrets or apprehension? No, I mean, not at all. Like, by the time it's like, you know, it's like when you break up with somebody you break up with, like, your partner, and, like, you like them, they were nice, they were fun, but, like, you're not for each other anymore. Like, that's what it feels like. So I don't have any regret or apprehension. I had good times, and I sort of, like, sometimes I mourn for not having my mates around, and, you know, and stuff like that. But, like, no, like, this was the right decision to make. I love not having to get in the bus anymore in the morning. I love being able to take the days off that my wife doesn't work, because she works weird days. She's not off on the weekends a lot of times, so I can work weekends, and that's fine by me. I love traveling. I love meeting people. I love meeting all the NoClip patrons. I love meeting, like, all the people who've watched the videos and bumping into people, and I love talking to developers and hearing that they've watched the videos, and I love putting this stuff out there. And, like, the whole, my mission since day one of wanting to get into the Games Press was to change the Games Press, was to change the way we talk about games. And NoClip is the first time I feel like I've been really able to, like, do that in the exact way I wanted. So no, I have no regrets whatsoever. I loved my time at GameSpot, and they were really good to me, and I feel like I was good to them, and I'm more. I think I did my time there, and I didn't take advantage of them, and I worked my arse off, and then I left when it wasn't for me anymore. So no regrets. Asher Morris, and I'm still a fan, I should say. Like, I'm the extra live stream is going to start, I think, this evening or maybe tomorrow morning. Like, I'm going to watch that. Like, I helped produce those things for the past 5 years, and 5 years, I think. And I'm a huge fan of GameSpot, and I always will be. So, like, I'm gonna keep. Hopefully, I'll hop in the Minecraft server this year and play around myself. You know, yeah. So no regrets, and I hope and I wish them the best. Like, I really do. Asher Morris, with the first videos edited away, is it all possible that you might release any planning documents or the like you created during pre-production? Bizarre question, but as a media student, I would be fascinated to see how a successful independent producer prepares for a project. We have the behind-the-scenes stuff, which I'm editing at the moment, but none of it's really pre-production documents, because they're mostly just questions and, like, research and things like that. Like, I do a lot of reading, but there's not much in terms of, like, documentation, unless you're talking about the logistical aspect, like the flights and hotels and whatnot. So I don't know. Maybe let me think about it. I'll see if there's a way of, like, doing a behind the scenes in the future, maybe about one of the projects that's a bit more formal like that. If you have any specific questions, though, just hit me up on Patreon. You can DM me on there, and I'd be happy to share that stuff with you. Yeah, just be a bit more specific, maybe. Thanks so much for your patronage. Really appreciate it. Samuel Styles. Hey, Dan. Hey, what's up? Do you guys have a business contact email as of yet? We don't have a public one. I will do soon. Right now, if you want to get in contact, go to noclip.video, and there's a contact page, and there's a form, and if you put in your details, I can get back to you there. That's probably the easiest way. Or if you're a patron, I mean, you've got a direct line. Again, just like Asher was saying, just hit me up. DM me on Patreon with your email address, and I'm happy to talk that way. Okay, one or two more questions because I need to go set up a live stream as well. Let's go with Sander van Tulden. What a name. Are you still experimenting with the format of the documentaries, or will you always use the 2-part 25-minute format? Thanks. No, we won't. Those were like 22, 24 minutes because I wanted to see if I could edit to television length. Something Bernie Burns said to me actually when I was hanging out with Rooster Teeth that sort of inspired me to give that a go. And also like that series felt like a two-parter, like it was before the launch, after the launch. The Doom one, it's either going to be a 3-parter or one big one, is what I'm feeling at the moment. So no, we're not married to anything. The wonderful thing about the internet is you can do whatever you want, and that's what we're going to do. So whatever works in terms of viewing, but you know, it's weird. Like a 60-minute video is hard to put up on its own because like for some people that's what they want to watch, but for a lot of people like that's daunting. Like they look at it and they go, no, I rather like I'll watch that another day, and then they never do, right? Whereas if you give them like a 20-minute video, it's like, okay, I'll give it a go, or I can watch it over a lunch break and it's not so much of a big deal. And I'm not in the numbers game anymore, but like I also know that you need to like not trick people, but you need to give people excuses to watch a thing that they're going to enjoy. So that's why we like put in time into like naming them and like the thumbnails and like the descriptions and all that sort of stuff. And the trailer, like it's why we like foreshadow at the start of the video like what's coming up. Like it opens with Unreal Tournament 99 footage. You're like, what the fuck am I watching? You know, that's the whole sort of idea behind it. So I think I think that's it's important to me that we sort of play around with it, but also that we do things that work for getting more people to watch them as well. Okay, a couple more questions. Let me burn through some of these. Thomas Casperson, you mentioned that you would try to get pushed to 30,000 on Patreon. Does this mean new reward tiers, or will the $30 cap still be the cap? Yeah, I'm not going to put any higher reward tiers than $30. I don't think. Our project is not about rewards a lot of the time, like it is obviously, and I try and get them out. And we're doing this Q&A, and I'm going to do 2 more hangouts before the Doom Doc's out, and we got the behind the scenes stuff and the interviews and all that shit's coming out over the next couple of weeks, and it's going to be cool because like all the way up to Doom there's going to be new content coming out for everyone. Especially patrons who on the rewards, but at the same time it's still just me and Jeremy, and every time you put a new reward tier on it creates more work, so that's one aspect of it. And then the other thing is that like I think there is a pretty good understanding between you folks and me about like what we're doing here, right? Like this is work that could not exist without your patronage, or if it did it would be through advertising, and then it's fucked, right? And then it's like skewed and it sucks, and it's got influence from business people, and it doesn't come out as genuine and authentic and awesome. So we're creating something really special that no one's ever made. We're creating like these video series about games that are like so fucking authentic and honest and true and without advertising, and you know that and I know that, and we're cool, right? And like I'm super transparent about what the funding's going on, and the process and everything, and I like that. And and the reward tiers, like a lot of them we can't make them up. Like I can do the Q&As, I love doing the Q&As, so I'm so itchy. Ugh. And I love doing the hangouts, but like if we start adding on stuff that's like not realistic, then it starts to fuck it a bit. That's the problem I had with the stretch goals as well, is that like I wanted to do the audio versions of the interviews for the podcast feed, which we're going to now because we hit 20,000. Thank you so much. But like there's loads of other things I want to do, and it's like I want to do it, but we don't really have time for it. So we have ideas for 30K in terms of the funding and the projects, which will definitely allow us to be a bit more risky. Like I'm being very conservative now because I'm just waiting for everything to like fall apart, right? I'm waiting for like everyone to pull out because I'm still like super nervous about it. So I'm like rainy day funding a lot of what we're working on because we're planning like 3 projects out. So like we're up against it, right? So that's the idea between the 30 is to create that sort of that buffer again. But no, to answer your question, Thomas, in a roundabout way, I had no plans to have any higher tiers than that. We have plenty of people who give more than 30. We had an individual who was giving us 1,000 a month. That's why it dropped from 20 to 19, and then we've since gone back up over 20 because we got an extra like 200 patrons. Thank you all so much again. If you just recently joined, thank you so much. In fact, I'm as well, as an aside, there will be a sticky post. Well, kind of. There'll be a post going up which is going to like have everything in it, because I feel like the pagination on Patreon isn't great, and we need to find a way of having it so that like the legacy of things are easier to find. So I have a solution for that. So if you just joined, there's a load of stuff you've got access to already, which no one has on the NoClip YouTube. So I'm going to start doing that. No, I'm happy with the capsules there right now. Okay, let's go in through these ones real quick. Ossian Ollison. Ossian Ollison. Great names. Tremendous names. Tremendous names. The best names. I got the best names. I got just the best names. How did you anticipate the first series of Docs Part 1 and 2 versus how they actually did in terms of views and spread? They did better than I thought. I wasn't expecting to be the top story on Reddit games twice in 2 days. That was fucking rad. They've done about 250,000 in total if you added the trailer in there as well, which is awesome. I was hoping maybe the first one would break 100,000. It's done 133. It's got over 6,000 likes. So that means it's probably going to go up to 250,000 over the next couple of months. In terms of view, it looks like that anyway. We doubled our subs overnight. We're almost at 30,000. You know, in my head, I always hoped, okay, if we got over 1 million views and if we got, and my cheeky self was, if we got over 100,000 subscriptions by the end of the year, that would be like amazing. I think we'll do it on the view side, maybe. We'll see with the Doom stuff. With the 500,000, I think we'll do. But the subs, we probably won't get that. But if we hit 50,000, I'd be happy. That'd be cool. I mean, we're a video channel with 5 videos that's got 30,000. 2 of them are trailers as well. We've really got 2 videos up there. That's got 30,000 subs, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, it's done really well. I'm super humbled. Nicholas Wandela, is a new documentary just covering Doom 2016, or will it be a bit of a retrospective on the whole series? Kind of answered this earlier. It's mostly Doom 2016. There is an aspect of contextualizing Doom, but that's mostly against Doom 3, as Doom 3 relates to Doom 1 and 2. But mostly focuses on that sort of retrospective, then the Call of Doom project, and then Doom 2016. Stephen Chapman asks, will the hectic schedule, has the amount of work actually sunk in yet? Are there any plans for keeping the live streams or other videos, New Point, rolling during busy documentary periods? Yeah, so the problem was that I didn't have a week off. If the F1 trip was lifted out of that 3-week period, I would have had a contingency plan for that, but I didn't, so nothing happened. So apologies about that, especially to all the Twitch subs who joined up, and then there wasn't really much there for a fortnight. Excuse me. So I'm doing a stream in about 45 minutes. I have some ideas for working that stuff around. The problem with the live stream specifically is I need to be here to do the live streams. So if I'm away, there's not really much I can do about it, especially when we do the international shoots. Or for instance, at Christmas time, I'm in Europe for 3 weeks. So I have some plans for that. Like, one of the plans I have actually is to build a PC in my parents' house and stream from there. But we'll see. I have other weird ideas about interesting stuff because I'm shooting while I'm there too, and I'm actually in Italy as well for a little bit, which is not a no clip thing, but we'll maybe there's something cool I can do about that on my Danny O'Dwyer YouTube channel. But yeah, it's that's been a learning process for sure. And again, the F1 trip was the sort of spanner that got thrown in there, and you have to be able to have a spanner get thrown in there every once in a while to see how you react when the spanner's thrown in there. So that was good. But yeah, I feel like that's probably the one thing that I need to get on top of a little bit more. But thank you so much. You've all been so patient and wonderful, and I hope you're seeing all the awesome sort of videos appear. Like today, for instance, there's a bunch of stuff going up, and over the weekend there's a bunch of stuff. So that's pretty cool. And then last question, Biddy Mescart asks, love the Rocket League series also because of how relaxed everyone seemed to be in front of camera. How do you make sure people are comfortable talking? Do you prep them, discuss possible talking points, or do they come in blind? Is it just your easygoing manner that makes them also relaxed? Thank you so much, Biddy. I really appreciate it. It's a couple of things. I mean, I think having a good bedside manner is the most important aspect of recording these videos, especially with people who don't do interviews. For people who don't do interviews, I do send a set of questions, which are the real top level stuff to sort of make them feel like they're not going to get blindsided. But for the big interviewees, I don't. I don't think we did for it at all, actually. But for Rocket League, I did because I knew there was 1 or 2 people, like Ben Beckwith, who'd never talked in front of a camera before. So that was somebody who I wanted to make sure I was a little bit more genteel with. But he was wonderful, right? He opened up and we got him talking about stuff. At the top of the interview, I ask a lot of questions which people could answer in their sleep. I ask questions about their name and title, when they joined the company. What made them want to talk about or make games? What was the first game they played? What did they study in college? Stuff that they've answered a million times or they've said in their head a million times. And then once they're a bit more relaxed in front of camera, we sort of we open them up that way. So it's stuff like that. Not asking the wrong question that's gonna trip them up. Not being super aggressive. Asking if you don't answering questions in a genteel way, and then if you don't get the answer you want, re-asking the question in a different way, as opposed to like asking in a very forceful way, which is what a lot of people do. Laughing at the things they say that are funny because they are funny, and not simple questions, not asking long questions, not giving your opinion very often. Sometimes I give my opinion, like I'll go, oh, that's interesting, I think such and such, really just to give them a break. But apart from that, yeah, it's just reading the room like anyone else. If you're a good conversationalist, it just comes to you, and I think I'm probably alright. Irish people are like, we're all like storytellers, so it's kind of, I just like hearing people talk about shit, so I'm like fascinated by them. So I think maybe I think if I was to say one thing that I'm sort of happy about my own demeanor is that I think I'm like genuinely interested in what people have to say, even about the most boring shit. Like, I find it really fascinating, so I think that kind of helps a little bit. Okay, thank you so much for all the questions. Loads of them there. My voice is almost going. I'll do a live stream in 30 minutes. Should not be drinking coffee. It does not help. Delicious. Thank you to my wife for this cup as well. Genius. Thank you to Hero Cat, who's licking himself. Lick yourself, Hero. Yeah, free country. You can lick yourself all you want. And a little bit of a treat, because I put it in the Discord chat last night because I thought, why not? A little bit of a clip coming up from our chat with Hugo Martin at id Software, who is the creative director, I think is what his title was. He's also the guy who designed all the Jaegers for Guillermo del Toro in Pacific Rim. Hilarious dude. And this is a little snippet from our interview where he talked about, I was asking him how the intro level for Doom 2016 is so tight and compact and wonderful, and how it differs so much from the intro level to Doom 3, which you spend like 10 minutes waiting to kill someone. And this is a little bit of a snippet from that. It's not color graded or anything, so apologies for that. But I thought it'd be cool to share you some of the interviews a little bit ahead of time. If you have any questions that didn't get answered on this one, please put them in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer them there, and I will see you next time.
We wanted to, most stories, they say the bad guys have to take something away from the good guy in order for the audience to understand that the bad guy's bad. You know, they took away RoboCop's life. Essentially, you know, the bad guy takes away his ability to be with his family. You know, so and we see that when he murders them. So we're like, oh, the demons, like, well, you land on Mars and then you don't know it's demons yet, and then you find out it's demons, and oh my God, and somebody even asks, like, what do you think they are? And they're like, I think they're demons, you know. And then that's what we did. We laughed because we were like, that is ridiculous. You know, like, who cares? Like, you know, they have pointy teeth. They might be vampires. You know, like, I was like, so then, and then we wanted it, like, you'd find out, like, they murdered someone, or like they took something away from you, and all of it was like, oh my God, like, who cares? The phrase demonic presence in progress, I mean, demonic invasion in progress, is meant to we're saying something to the audience. We're literally like handing them a ticket for a train ride. We're like, are you ready to go? Because like we're gonna leave right now. You know, like we're just forget it. Like, you know they're demons, I know they're demons. We both want to shoot them in the face. Let's just go.